being here. It's great having you. Let's start with the key takeaways from your session that just happened. Yeah.
Right. So I'm the Dean of the Medical School at DY Patil, Pune, and we were talking about the gap that exists between the campus and employability. Now, in medical schools, unlike the industry, there is nothing called as a placement center. There's nothing called as a campus interview because almost everybody who finishes their graduation gets employed. So, when we're talking about employability, what we're actually looking at is competency. We want to turn out graduates who are competent in their various skills. Going beyond the certification, we are looking at their skills and to be able to produce doctors who are able to assure a certain level of competence is what that we are looking at. So when we look at how we achieve this in medical education, the National Medical Council in 2019 introduced a concept called as competency-based medical education, which means that we have a process by which from year 1 to year 3, the students are gradually exposed to higher levels of complexity of procedures and skills, so that by the time they come out, we are able to certify them as competent. The second thing that we're looking at is also what is called as entrustable professional attributes. So if I certify that a particular doctor can suture, then it means that we have vouched for the whole process of his learning, that he has experimented multiple times and he has finally reached a certain level of competence. So towards this end, you understand that we have, there's zero error in medical education and in medical training. So it's not possible for us to try all of this on patients themselves. And towards this, we have the use of simulation and skills lab. We have high quality, high fidelity task trainers where people are able to practice on that in order to be able to observe, evaluate, re-practice, and finally get to a level of competence.
Okay. You rightly mentioned that it's a bit different from the rest of the industry, and we sort of experienced that firsthand 4 or 5 years ago when there was a massive demand for doctors, right? People were realizing that the country needs more doctors. So I think my next question to you will be, what role does the government play here, the state play here, in facilitating that transition from med schools to jobs? And what more can the government do?
All right. So, the biggest problem that India faces is that we have such a large population. And we found that one of the things that happened was that the government medical colleges were not enough. So today we have a lot of private players in medical education, private funded medical colleges. And you find that if you're looking at about 55,000 odd medical seats in government, we have about 50,000 seats in private, which means that private players are major stakeholders in being responsible for the kind of graduates that we are turning out into the community. Now, when we're looking at government schools, government medical colleges, you find that the population that goes there is huge. The people below poverty line all go to the government colleges, and the students who are employed there have greater access to a larger number of patients. In private schools, you find that there is greater emphasis on terms of the infrastructure, the ability to be able to monitor, the ability to provide these kind of high-end infra. So that is the difference between the government and the private schools. And the government is definitely invested in ensuring that the quality of education is standardized across both government and private. So that's where the National Medical Council has come in and made it mandatory for all students to go to the district residency program. They have introduced the attitude, ethics, and communication model. They have introduced what is called as objective structured clinical education. So all of these have been made mandatory and uniform across all of it in order to ensure that there is uniformity in the quality of the graduates that come out of all the schools.
Okay, you mentioned uniformity. Last question. Would you say that the quality of education, making sure that the doctors who come out of med schools in terms of skill sets, it's the same in metropolitan schools and the schools in tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities?
So the National Medical Council has mandated it and has insisted on enforcing it. Most schools conform. So that's the reason that we have these periodic checks from the...
You mentioned most schools.
Yes, most schools.